Hi, I'm Ryan Davis,
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
and this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
The seat taken.
Hey, Kiernan.
Ryan, you don't want me sitting in the seat next to you today. I got a little bit of the
You
the
sound
flu.
a little.
I'm on the other side. I'm on the good side, but
Yeah.
I'm still on the slope.
Well, I hope you're wearing a mask while we record this because
I mean, I'm in a room alone, so I'm not wearing a mask, but I am wearing a mask around loved ones.
That's good. That's good. I am in. I am in a WeWork here in very chilly Barcelona.
What's very chilly by Barcelona
I
standards?
don't think 53 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That sounds nice.
Yeah,
That's kind of my favorite sort of temperature.
I think I like 65. That's really where I want to live.
You're getting more acclimated to the warm weather. The old Ryan I knew, 50s was perfect. Now you're a 60s man. Soon you're going to be wearing Hawaiian shirts and just laying on the beach.
I had to buy a winter jacket for the first time in 3 years. I don't have a winter jacket anymore, and now I'm experiencing the cold for the first time in a while.
That's really weird for someone who lived in New York for so long to live without a winter jacket for 3 years.
I know. I felt weird, but now I have a winter jacket.
You haven't been traveling back to the Northeast or your mom at all during any cold weather in the last 3 years?
I've pretty much skipped the cold weather.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I'm experiencing it now, and then of course I'm going to be back in Maryland in February. So it'll be chilly then. It won't be like the height of winter though.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I'm like a cold weather man. I'm sort of the opposite, where I wish that I could travel the year round following the cold.
Yeah, it was interesting because typically, Chase and I go to like a warm place for the holiday, and this year we did not. We were like in chilly, Sevilla. And you like how I said it? I said it correctly.
Yeah, no, you really brought it. It's beautiful.
Seville for folks who don't know. And Malaga and, Marbella, and they were very chilly. These are like, destinations where people go in the summer, and there's like a beach atmosphere, but not in the winter.
I remember one of the sometimes there's like, I don't know if you have this, but when you read like a book or you listen to a podcast about a particular place and it just hooks in your mind of like, this is a place I absolutely must visit. For me, 15 years ago, that was Myanmar and Burma when it was first opening up. And Catherine and I like read an article and it just hooked in my mind. And I was just like, we absolutely have to go there. And we did. And there was another one. There was a New York Times article that stuck in my mind about the beauty of visiting the Scandinavian countries in winter when most tourists wouldn't dare to like go into that cold. And I remember it specifically focused on Lapland. And Lapland looms large in my head every winter as a place that I must go. You need a very serious winter coat for that.
Yeah, I don't think I got that serious. Mine's still kind of like an urban winter coat. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not,
sure. Cool. It's sort of form fitting.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Now, so you're in Barcelona, but I assume you've just come from Madrid, given what I see the title of the episode is here today.
I was in Madrid prior to the sort of train travel all around, the Sevilla area. And now I'm in Barcelona, and then I'll be making my way back to Madrid, actually to see they're putting on a 30th anniversary production of the musical Rent. And when I saw that, I was like, oh gosh, I can't miss that. So I'm
in Spanish, I assume.
Yeah, in Spanish.
You love going to movies and theater in other languages that you don't speak.
I don't go to the movies in other languages, but if
you don't.
No,
you're always posting posters of heading into the movie theater.
Yeah, but they show the movie in English and it just has subtitles.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I always assumed it was overdubbed.
You think I'm sitting through a dubbed one battle after another? Yes,
that is what I thought. Yes, that's what I thought.
That is not what's happening. I have seen one dubbed movie in Ecuador, but in Bogota, it's classy. They do the subtitles. No, but it'll be fun to see Rent. I've seen it in Spanish before in Mexico City production, but this is a totally different production, and that'll be interesting.
Ryan, Madrid holds a very special place in my heart because when I was first, I had my first job at CNN, and I was determined to visit Europe. And my friends and I said we are going to go to a non-English speaking country, and we went to Madrid. We did Madrid, Barcelona, Montpellier, France, and Paris, and that was my first big foray into the European continent.
I I went to Madrid for the first time in 2018. I was looking that up. So I've been here a couple times. I've been to Madrid a couple times, and then today when I was preparing for the episode, I realized I have some pretty big gaps in my Madrid travel.
That is a great advertisement for the pod.
No, well,
but aren't you But you said you're going back, right? So can you hit these bigger places when you go back?
I might have time to hit one of them. I mean, there's only two major things I think I'm missing, but I know that you've done.
Oh, you mean maybe the two biggest, most major things that there are to visit, Ryan? This is a trend. I'm going to suggest to you here in the pod, this new year pod, the first pod of 2026. Maybe you need a resolution to do the big things when you visit a new place.
And I've done that. I've done that mostly in Madrid. I mean, Madrid is a huge city. Like,
by the way, you should mention which sites you're talking about that you haven't managed to get to yet.
Well, we'll get to it when we get through we'll talk about them in the.
Okay, so this is a teaser, an exciting teaser about what places you won't hear Ryan talk about. I mean, this is the man who went to Romania, stayed there for what I think it was 6 to 8 months, and did not manage to visit the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula, the one thing that everybody goes to Romania for.
I think Romania is a really exciting place, and we have to do an episode. I think we did a Bucharest episode actually, but
I'm quite sure we did. People don't realize how quickly we forget what episodes we've done.
Yeah, I mean, folks, we have done a lot of episodes. So we sometimes forget. In fact, we were talking about Madrid. We thought we had done a Madrid episode, but we've only done like a partial Barcelona episode. Not even a full Barcelona episode.
Insane. Well, we'll have to get that one on once you go out on all your adventures. But the other thing, Ryan, before we jump into Barcelona, is that because it's the beginning of the year, we are just overwhelmed with great travel content coming out left and right now. We got the 52 places list just came out in the New York Times. We're in negotiations to get that interview. We love having somebody come on from the New York Times to take us through the list. And I know you and we both did pretty well on this year's list. I think you've been to, did you say 10 or 11 places on the list?
11 places on the list. In fact, I'm having dinner tonight at a place recommended on the list. That's how in the moment I am.
Wow, that is fantastic. I think I hit 10, 9 or 10. I think I might be stretching one. I think there's a neighborhood in a city I have been to, but I haven't been to the neighborhood. Can't really count that. I don't know how much you're stretching.
I'm not stretching that much. There's a couple but I thought you would beat me because there was all these sort of random like parks and stuff. And I'm like, that's Kieran World.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. And also we're going to hit a new one together this year, which is we're hoping to go to North Dakota together for the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, which opens in July, on July 4th, of course, fittingly. And that made the list this year. So it would be super fun to deep dive into that. And I thought it might be fun. The other thing that came out, everybody's doing these trend pieces, which I don't know. Do you like trend pieces?
I think there's some good trend pieces. The one we're going to talk about now, I think, is basically all a reach. But I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, Condé Nast Traveler. I'm actually on the cusp of canceling my subscription to Condé Nast Traveler. It's like mostly ads for high-end hotels that
unless they want to sponsor us, which
of course. Happy. Are you kidding? In a moment, I'd be the biggest supporter. But do you ever look at Condé Nast Traveler?
It comes up when I'm doing research, but yeah, I mean, it's typically hotels that it makes me sad that I can't afford to
Exactly.
stay.
Like most of their stuff is like the White Lotus and up sort of
Yep.
hotels that we're not tending to frequent that much. I've stated a few, of course, and their travel content's good, but a lot of it's online. And so they put out one of these like think trend pieces, which I do feel that they're a stretch, but I also like the topics themselves, even if I don't think they have a specific 2026 hook. So the first one is that they predict that grocery store travel is big in 2026, which is to say that visiting traveling to a foreign place and visiting a grocery store, a place where people pick up food, like a corner store, is going to be a hot new trend for in the know tourists. So this does beg the question. I mean, I'll say, sure. Like I've always enjoyed going into grocery stores and checking out the brands and packaging and food that you can't get in the U.S. And yeah, this has always been sort of a standard part of travel that I enjoyed. Now, do you make a point of going to foreign grocery stores?
If I'm in a place for long enough, but if it's like a short trip, no, I don't really go into a grocery store. But do you count like markets? Like, I was in the market this morning where people are doing their shopping. Obviously, it's like a big sort of traditional market.
It doesn't say markets, Ryan.
No,
2026 is the year of grocery store travel.
yeah,
So I think you're going to have to start getting that into your. I will say it's very fun. I particularly like when international brands have like variations and flavors that you can only get in a certain place. Like Japan is famous for having like 100 different Kit Kats that you can't get anywhere else.
in Mexico, gets a good Coke. I mean,
Mexico
Coca
gets the
Cola.
good Coke. And in England, they get wild potato chip flavors. They get like shrimp potato chips, and
Oh God.
every place has its own market research to bring out what people are willing to buy. And I'm sure
The
what's very
blood
popular in the
blood
U.S. that
sausage flavored
you got to get
chips.
blood sausage potato chips. And I know one thing that has changed in England since I lived there to today is that peanut butter has become much more available. That used to be something that you'd have to go to like a specialty shop to get.
It's funny. I walked by a specialty shop yesterday here in Barcelona called a Taste of America, and it's a American grocery store, and it's all like Fruit Loops and Hershey bars. I mean, it's
And is
really
everything
grim.
just in the shape of guns, like
There's a lot
licorice
of yeah.
guns, chocolate guns?
There's a no, but it's only because it's
All right, here's the next trend from Condé Nast Travel. 2026 is going to be the year of what they call period drama jet setting. I'm just going to read this one directly. Bonnets and bustles at the ready in 2026. Set jetting is going full period drama, with the UK's countryside likely to become the next fan pilgrimage site thanks to a crop of literary adaptations by female directors. So the idea here is that people are going to be seeking out the places where novels are set and maybe even dressing up in period dress, going to a tea or renting a room, going to a restaurant to be able to experience that time period that's portrayed in Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights.
yeah. I don't think so.
I mean, cosplay definitely has grown over the past few years, but this is pretty niche.
Yeah.
I feel like for a trend, it's got to be a little bigger than this.
Yeah, I think, the Jane Austen fans, they're going to do what they're going to do. But, I don't think this is a major trend. Although, I was just touring this incredible palace in Sevilla, and, it's half a Moorish and half, Spanish architecture, and it's incredible. And it's, thousands of years old. And at the end of the tour, the guide was like, "Oh, and they filmed Game of Thrones here." And everyone was like, "What?" Like that was the thing that impressed my tour group.
All
So
right, here's the final trend, and this one I'm on board with. This one I like a lot. They call it Viking wellness. I'm giving the writers and editors credit. I like the hooks on all these Viking wellness, and the idea is that Nordic traditions of spa culture are becoming more popular, are spreading, and people are traveling in order to get these kind of high end spa treatments that they're calling Viking treatments. And I agree with this. I do think that this is something that's been growing lately, and people traveling for retreats and like wellness definitely is on growing. And I will say, while I'm very creeped out by massages and things. I don't like people's hands on me. But in Iceland, Catherine and I stayed at a great hotel that had an outdoor, small, heated pool. And the whole idea was that you like take a cold shower, you get into the heated pool, and then you get back out, and then the frozen air of Iceland in I think it was November that we visited hits you, and that was a really interesting experience, and it almost like made me woozy with the temperature extremes that it brought onto. And I think that's part of that's supposed to be part of the recovery process. These sort of like cold plunges and then super hot and mixing it all up. And I really liked it. It is a very memorable experience. So Viking wellness, I'm on board with.
Yeah, I love this idea. I love a good spa, and I would gladly do a Viking cold plunge any day. So this one I'm on board with. I don't know if I have any Viking travel in my near future, but open to it.
Those Nordic countries, they can be pretty expensive. Those socialist democracies can be expensive places to go, which is why I think you and I haven't spent too much time in them yet.
Well, I do think Greenland's going to become much cheaper to visit. And
well, I mean, between this recording and when we put it out next week, God knows what will have happened to Greenland. So, Ryan, with that, maybe we should come up with some hot trends. Do you have any hot trends for 2026 just off the dome?
I think people are going back to hotels and they're tired of Airbnb, and
there's a hot take.
Yeah, there's a lot of hostility towards Airbnb in more cities, and I think that that folks are like tired of it. And I think
I gotta say, as a parent of small children, hard for me to think about how to travel without Airbnb. Like the ability to have children that you can put away and then have your evening in a proper home, as opposed to like trying to find a hotel that has adjoining rooms. Very hard for me to imagine going back.
Yeah, no, I think for families for sure, but that to me is just something that I'm noticing. That's sort of what I think is a trend. What about you? What do you think a good trend is?
So I'm going to take this idea that that Condé Nast had about this like sort of cosplay, the period drama jet setting. Where I do think it's going is I do believe more and more people are inspired to travel to places based on popular culture. Like they're going for the classics, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. I actually do think. I mean, we know things like White Lotus have created a huge surge in tourism on whatever destination they spotlight. And so, with the glut of content that is happening on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, whatever like the big trending show is, putting focus on those places to go and play act as if you are in that particular drama. I do think there's something to that. I just wouldn't put it in the period drama category. So I mean, I just watched the end of Stranger Things. I'm thinking of going to Hawkins.
Oh gosh. You made it all the way
Are you a
through?
Stranger Thing guy, by the way?
No, I'm not.
Gotta say, man, I've rarely seen a worse finale.
Everyone was unhappy with it. Apparently, people
I
are
mean,
so unhappy with it.
it was brutal. It was brutal.
Well,
Anyway, Ryan, one place that isn't brutal that I know we both enjoy is Madrid, Spain. So I think it's probably time to take off.
tell the cabin crew.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
All right, Ryan. It's been a little while since we've had one of these Ryan-led trips, so I'm looking forward to sitting back, letting you be my Rick Steves.
Yes. So Madrid, you had said that Madrid's one of the early cities in Europe that you visited. I visited for the first time in 2018 and have been a few times since then. Madrid's like a huge city. It's got a 7 million metro population. It's 1,000 years old, which actually makes it sort of a young city for Europe. Barcelona is 2,000 years old. Um, but it does obviously have that old world European charm. Super safe, super walkable, and we're going to talk a lot about sort of the most walkable part of the city where tourists are going to spend, I'd say, like 90% of their time, and that's in the city center in the old town. Um, when you went to Madrid, did you? That was probably where you hung out the most.
Yes, so again, because this was like my, this was me just learning how to travel, which we believe is a real skill. I did what I always recommend, which is I stuck with Rick Steves, and that was just like the Sherpa I needed, because we weren't doing like an organized tour of any sort, and I just didn't know what it was like to be a tourist, and such an old place with so many things to see. I mean, how you've been in you visited for quite a long time, right? Even though I know you were working and things, but how long were you in Madrid in total?
Um, I mean, in the various times that I've been there, I've probably spent like what 4 or 5 weeks there.
So
Um,
you've had time then to like get more out into the culture. I was there for a few days, very much the tourist visit.
yeah,
And so I needed to hit the big stuff. And so I stuck right to Rick's recommendations, did each of his walking tours. And yeah, I saw most of the tourist stuff. And I would love to go back and get kind of underneath. I'm actually piecing together what I think would be a very fun kind of Portugal, Spain trip. And Madrid would definitely be on that.
yeah. I mean, and there's so many restaurants and cafes and wine bars. I mean, it's incredible. I think we're going to focus on like the idea that maybe folks have a few days to visit and sort of want to highlight some of the biggest things. But there is, in researching this and looking back at what I've done over the years, there are so many little museums and things to do that I think, Madrid will probably get another episode at some point. Um, but the main sort of museum section is in the old center city, and it's called the Golden Triangle of Art. And
Catchy. It's very
yeah,
catchy.
it is the Golden Triangle of
Yes.
Art. It's a very walkable area between the three major museums. The Prado, which is obviously like the most famous one, probably the most famous museum in Spain. It's absolutely epic. We'll talk a little more about that. The Museo Reina Sofia. This is sort
Hmm.
of the more contemporary, modern museum.
That's your kind of place. I didn't hit there.
Yeah, that's my favorite of all these museums.
I
And then
figured.
this
God,
one's
more than the Prado? Are you insane?
yeah, I might be insane, but I do like all. I mean, I love all that Picasso and the Miro, and then the third museum, the most recent of the major museums in Madrid, is the Tyson uh, Bonanazzi Museum. I really got that wrong.
I mean,
It
this one is hard. Why
Yeah,
don't you give it a spelling?
the THYSSENBORNESEMISZA Museum.
Oh boy,
It's
guys, it's not even just pronouncing Spanish; it's spelling. I mean, Ryan is
well,
degrading in front of our
yeah,
eyes.
yeah, but in this museum is the smallest of the three, but it's in that world of museums that you and I really like, where somebody had some rich person had an incredible art collection and then just sort of turned it into a museum.
Oh
And
yeah, the best.
that's what happened here. So those are the three main museums. The Prado is where you're going to get your old European masters, your Goya, Rubens. This is where all the old stuff that you kind of expect to see in a big traditional museum is going to be a lot of religious paintings, a lot of Catholicism, a lot of picture paintings of kings and queens of yesteryear.
I
Um,
remember the Prado was the first place that I had ever seen Hieronymus Bosch, and that really left a strong impression. I ended up really loving Bosch's crazy artworks, and just packed paintings with so many details. You could just keep looking in every little corner.
Yeah, that's absolutely. There's so much in the Prado Museum that I think this is one that I kind of like dedicated like its own day to. I probably catch
Yeah,
it's
totally.
yeah.
I would say you need at least half a day. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like it is the equivalent of visiting the Met in New York. You can't be comprehensive in it, so do your research beforehand so that you either go in just to take in the ambiance and you're going to wander and find what you find. But if you want to see the greatest hits, you should go in with a game plan.
yeah, absolutely. And the greatest hits is still going to take you probably like 2 hours. But if you want to like really see the museum, that's going to take you, 4 hours. It's got so much in it. The building itself is astonishing, and they don't let you take pictures in it. So it isn't like one of those museums where you're just completely overwhelmed by people like everywhere taking photos, and it feels like people are like more engaging with the art and all the old Spanish masters and European masters. It's a very cool museum. If you do one museum in Madrid, I think it has to be the Prado. The next one, my favorite, I guess, ultimately is Museo Reina Sofia. This is like in an old hospital, what you can't feel at all because it's been so incredibly remodeled. It's huge, so they've obviously added like a lot to it. But this is where you go to see sort of the more contemporary Spanish art. Picasso, Dalí, Miro.
Okay, all right. I was going to ask contemporary. Like, are you saying modern art? But no, it's more like 20th
Oh,
century art.
yeah, I mean, they definitely have like people that we haven't heard of. More like folks currently working. But if you're into the kind of the most famous of the more late 19th century, 20th century, that is where you go. And it's there's so much. I've been traveling around now Spain for like the last month, and I've been to Picasso's multiple Picasso museums, multiple Dalí museums, and these folks really loom large in. I mean, Picasso. I think I've come to really respect Picasso. Um, it's
Were you not? You didn't respect Picasso before?
Well, I know I did respect him before. I just didn't like I hadn't kind of put him in context, historical context, and I didn't realize how Dolly was like a bad guy. Dolly is like, he was deeply problematic. I think Picasso was also probably pretty problematic, but Dolly, like, he hung out with Franco and he was just sort of a character in a negative way, I think. Um, I'm gonna come out like a Dolly truther I want to do an episode on Dolly at some point, so I'll save that. But also in the Museo Reina Sofia, there's a very famous painting that Picasso did about the Spanish Civil War. Um, uh, and obviously he had fled. He was in exile, and Dali stayed and supported the Franco and all that. So it's a really interesting, the history of all these guys and how they're all kind of like, it's just incredible. Like, and I kind of went down a little wormhole in the last month or so, but you'll see a lot of their work in the Museo Reina. And for both of these museums, you get your tickets in advance. Because the Prado definitely books out days, maybe even days in advance, and the arena, the most popular times book fast. And then for the third museum, the Thyssen museum, this is the most memorable thing for me from this. And again, this is a lot of like other sort of older stuff, a lot of like classic impressionist stuff. There's there's even some American stuff in there. But what I most remember is that they had a really cool temporary exhibit on Proust. And it got me really wanting to read Proust. I haven't read Proust yet. Have you read any Proust?
Gosh, I mean, in college, I definitely read a little bit, but not enough to speak authoritatively at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to me that they had this exhibit because obviously he's French, and not from Madrid, but it was super cool. And the space is amazing. And this one I would say is the one that you visit last if you have the time of the big three. but I feel like if there are so many other things to see in Madrid that unless you're really into getting another sort of big overview of art history after the Prado, that's one that you don't necessarily sort of have to go to.
Okay, cool.
Um, Now, also when you're walking around this area, uh, there's a really really big park called the El Retro Park, and this has it's gorgeous. It is sort of right around these museums, so you can sort of pop in and walk around. And like any major park, there's a lot of little things to do and things to see, but it's quite beautiful. And if you're in the center of the city and you're not sort of going, outside of that, this is sort of the main park that you'll see. And it has a couple different entrances, but the one that I recommend, especially if you're a picture taker, is the one by the Porta de Alcalá, Alcala. And this is a
Okay,
huge
I think you
arch.
got that one right.
Thank
I think
you.
it's probably Alcalá.
Alcalá.
It's got
And,
that accent.
yeah. It's this huge arch, that is a great entrance into the park, and it's really beautiful. And a lot of folks will, get their picture taken there. So I recommend that entrance. But that park is something you can do sort of in the day that you're having your art day with the big museums.
And any idea why is it called? Oh, you said it was called the Retro Park. It looks like it's called the El Retirio.
El Retirio, which is so bad because I should know. There's a mall and right by my apartment in Bogota called El Retirio, and so I should know the name of this place.
Sounds like you're getting ready to Retirio right there.
Oh, if only.
If only. Ojalá.
So those are the big three museums that folks can visit. Obviously, there are so many others. One of the other huge things that people visit, and I haven't gone. I realized that I haven't been on. I was like I'm like, have I been to this? I know I walked by it, but have I been inside? And I haven't. The Royal Palace in Madrid, and they do tours. And this is definitely, if I have time to do anything on my little return trip back to Madrid, this trip, I'm definitely going to visit the palace because it looks extraordinary, and I do like a nice palace.
And then I do have a question for you. So you've correctly identified that I think Madrid, it does have more of a feel of like a working real person city than like a Barcelona, which feels like more of a touristy city. You say that's fair? That was my impression.
My impression of Madrid the first time I went was that it was like DC.
I totally get that. And it's like a little grittier than like a purely touristy city. And my question is, given the Royal Palace, did you? When you go to London, you're surrounded by like royals.
I've never been to Buckingham. I've never been to Buckingham Palace.
I mean, it's fine. You got to go when like it's a great, go see the changing the guards. It's good, like kind of free show, and it's interesting and whatever.
No, I've seen the outside of it, but I've never done like a interior tour of it.
But I've always had the sense that like what's really protecting the king and queen, the monarchy in England is its tourist appeal, which is people come for that. But obviously, they're the most famous royals in the world. Do you feel, having now like lived for a while in Spain, is there the same sense of like the royalty being part of people's lives in the same way that it is in England?
Well, the current king, like this dude, like Felipe, who's been king now.
And does he like to be referred to as a dude?
I'm not one of his subjects, so but he's considered pretty cool, and he's very handsome. He dresses incredibly well, and so I think he's sort of I sort of know of him just because he's somebody that you see on like the tabloids in Mexico and Colombia too. Like, so
okay.
I think outside of the English speaking, like in the Spanish speaking world, I think these folks probably have more like more name rec than
All right, that was precisely my Precisely my question. Thank you. And interesting to hear too that sort of tabloid culture, which again is like a kind of a big famous British thing that the tabloids just rip the monarchy apart constantly.
Yeah, I mean that's the fun. That's the fun of the monarchy. So, that is those are the major things. A couple other things I want to talk about. I love the musical theater. I've been to every time I've gone to Madrid. I've seen a show. And it's got a really big theater scene in a way that sort of surprises you. All these beautiful old theaters, and they do a wide range of musicals. I just saw a production of Les Mis all in Spanish, and it was fantastic. It was in this Art Deco theater that was wonderful. I got like a fourth row center seat. It was like $75. A seat that would have cost $700 probably in New York. So I've seen a great production of The Book of Mormon there. A great production of Cabaret, like an immersive production.
Was The Book of Mormon completely in Spanish?
All in Spanish. Yeah, it was a blast.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and it really,
that's interesting. I'd be interested how that translates. Given is Mormonism, does that have enough name recognition abroad for people to even get those jokes?
The Mormons are out here knocking on doors.
Sure, they're doing their missions.
They're doing their work here. Yeah. So if folks are into theater, if you're into ballet, if you're into opera, anything like that, it's a great city for the performing arts. And it's really easy to find what's playing, and go see a musical or a concert at some beautiful old theater. I think that's a great way to spend an evening. A couple more things that you'll want to see as you're walking around, and I definitely recommend. I spent one day. I had like one Saturday where I just walked all around. I did like 23,000 steps that day, just walking around Madrid. It was the weather was beautiful, and you'll want to see the Plaza Mayor, which is the main plaza, and very close to that is a Puerta del Sol, another big plaza, and these are great like shopping districts and dining districts, and you could spend half a day just sort of walking around this area, popping into little shops and checking out the statues. It was funny because the Puerta del Sol, they had a huge Christmas tree there that was incredible. You might have seen it. I posted it on my Insta, and I'll definitely post a bunch of pictures from Madrid on the Out of Office Instagram OOO podcast. But there was also just I called it the Stranger Things Plaza because they had these massive Stranger Things like billboards covering all these buildings. So, yeah, I didn't love that, Kieran. You might have enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's pretty good to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But it's a great walking around city, and I can't recommend enough just kind of spending the day strolling. I want to give a couple recommendations, but first I want to do something that we rarely do. I want to tell people to avoid a restaurant, Kieran.
I feel like you never do that.
Chase got into town. We were going to do one really, really nice meal in Madrid before we left and kind of, did our smaller city tour. So I found this restaurant, D Stage to Stage, and it had 2 Michelin stars, Kieran. That's a lot of stars.
That's dos. That's dos stars. Dos estrellas.
Yeah, muchas estrellas. And
well, solo dos, no muchos.
Yeah. Let me just tell folks, avoid this restaurant. It was not good. It was expensive.
What? How can that be? Come on.
I was shocked.
And you're such like a whore for the Michelin stars. I'm a
star chaser.
I know you are. This is why I'm shocked.
I know. I went to a meal here in Barcelona. It was terrific. But I would not want folks to spend their hard-earned money on this Stage. I did it for you, and I would say definitely skip it. But it's a city of great wine bars. Gota. This
Okay, hold on, I just want to ask: was the
Yeah.
food bland? What was the problem with
No,
the
it
food? I
wasn't
feel like
bland.
it's
It was
real-
like it was no, it was the opposite of bland. It was like it was like fine dining. It was like it was like a tasting menu, molecular dining. Food
this
that I
is
get
Ryan
into.
Davis written all
Yes.
over it.
No, but I felt like I'd seen it all before. The service wasn't that good. It wasn't. It was like even the vibe was weird. Like it clearly it wasn't that popular anymore. Like the word is out. This place is not that good. So
Oh, man.
unlike all the other sort of fancy restaurants we did on this trip, this was like the one that just sort of didn't land. And it to
And
spend a
you
lot of
stayed
money
the
on a
whole time.
meal.
You didn't cut your losses and go, let's go somewhere else after you had a disappointing appetizer.
That's not how it works, Kieran, with a tasting menu. You're in for the whole 19
Oh
courses.
yeah, that's right. You had signed up for the whole thing. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. So you're there for 4 hours, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
So
that's what a nightmare.
it never ends. Yeah, but I'm saying that's definitely one to avoid. But luckily, there are so many good places to eat that it's really hard to make that mistake that I did. I'll link to a few of these restaurants in the show notes, but Gota is a super hip wine bar with small bites, and they play records. And I felt like I was back home in Bushwick, which I always appreciate. And then a really interesting small restaurant called Marcel that I've now eaten at twice. I ate at it so much. I liked it so much. I ate at it back in April when I was in Madrid, and then on my most recent trip, I also went there again. So would definitely recommend that. And it's just a city where it's like New York or Mexico City. There are just so many places to eat. I do get a little tapa tired, a little tapa tedious.
Oh, a little tapa tired. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Yeah, so I try to
Check it out in the merch store, folks. Out of office, tapa tired.
You want to have at some point. I want to have a bowl of pasta. I know I'm in Spain, but you can't just have ham for every meal, right?
Jamon, of course you can. They're fed on the pigs are fed on acorns.
Not just I know. They are delish.
They love that story. And you know what? I do think the Iberico is delicious.
Yeah, it was funny because we were in the market today in Barcelona, and there was this Iberico place, and they had all these photos of the pigs, like out in their beautiful habitat, and I thought they looked so happy. It was like free range, and I'm like,
yeah, it's a shame they're going to be killed for you to not enjoy the tapas.
I enjoy those tapas. So anyway, I think that is that is more than 3 days. If you're in Madrid, between all the things you're going to see, walking around Center City, the museums, the wine bars, it's a super cool city. And I actually, the more time that I've spent there, kind of not as a tourist, but more kind of working and just sort of popping into like a local, wine bar down the street. You just realize how pleasant it is a place to spend time. Like, I went to this small diner near my Airbnb, and I just got like a ham and cheese sandwich with an egg on top, and it was like so fresh and delicious. I'm like, wow. So it's just the kind of place you can just walk in and just find a cute little restaurant and have a nice ham and cheese sandwich.
So, Ryan, would it be safe to say, and this was my feeling about it, but I don't want to lead you. Do you feel that Madrid is a great wandering city where you'll be able to come upon something interesting if you just kind of go out without a plan?
I think 100%. Yeah, I think it's like Rome.
Yeah,
There's just so many places you can bump into, so many things to see, and I think you're going to want to make the big plans and get those tickets to the Palace and to the Prado they're tough to get. But then you should save a little time just to wander and kind of explore all the little side streets. It's a beautiful walking city, and it's very, very safe. And it's that's one of the things that's nice to be out of Bogota. I can walk around at night and not have any concern.
Sure. And then the second question is: it sounds like you're going back. How long are you going back for?
Just really for the day. to see the
Oh,
show.
just for the day. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're thinking you might be able to fit in the palace, and then I believe we also didn't cover the cathedral, which is certainly a tourist attraction. Might you be able to get to mass? Maybe a confession.
I think confession probably not, but I am gonna try. I am gonna try for the palace if I can get in early enough before the obviously the 30th anniversary show of Rent, which
Now,
is why
when was it? If you had to begin your confession with "Forgive me, Father, I have sinned," it has been how long would you say since your last confession?
um well how old are you when you do reconciliation in the in the order of
Like
ops?
before? Oh, wow! So you only went the first time?
I probably no, I had to get confirmed too, so it's probably been
Sure. Okay. So you're
yeah
probably talking like an eighth grade, sort
yeah.
of maybe freshman year.
Have you seen the new Knives Out when the priest
Have
says
I
like
ever? Are you
yeah.
kidding? That thing was like written for me. Catherine was turning to me the whole time, going, "Oh my God." Like she said, I can feel the Catholic coming
Yeah.
off you right now. It was great. It was great.
It was Catholic, but in an Episcopal setting, kind of, and you know what I mean. Like it didn't. It wasn't like pure Catholic. I felt, but the
Oh, I disagree with that. I thought it was pretty pure Catholic. I
but
loved. There was one joke that just hit me so hard, and it said, "Oh yeah, he's one bead short of a rosary." That is what great writing. All right, Ryan. Well, as it happens, I've got a great Catholic last stop, so I want to rush to get to it. I think it's time for the last stop.
the last stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train.
All right, Ryan, we're here in the last stop. This is the last segment of the show, the final segment of the show. It's my favorite segment. It's your favorite segment. It's popularly known as the People's segment because it's a time for us to come together as a community and share. You and I each bring each episode one thing. It can be anything. By definition, it can be anything. It can be a souvenir, a story, an article, a memory, a photograph, a yarn, but it must meet one criterion. It must inspire the spirit of wanderlust within us, even during the workaday week. So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you as I ask you every episode. Do you have a last stop this week?
I do, Kieran. I've been so you know I'm here in Barcelona with my boyfriend David, and he leaves me in a couple days, and I go to Madrid, like I said, and then I go meet my friend Nathan and his boyfriend in Rome. So I've got basically 10 days between Madrid and Rome, and I wanted to take the train. I love a long train ride. So I figured out a way to sort of break that 20-hour train ride into 5 to 6 hour train rides. So I'm going to go Madrid to Montpellier, Montpellier to Nice, and Nice to Milan, and then Milan to Rome.
Wow,
And
that's going to be epic.
it's going to be epic. I'm gonna. I haven't been to. I've been to Milan like one time in my entire life, like 10 minutes. So I'm excited that I'm going to spend the weekend there. And yeah. So if folks have any sort of those Nice or Montpellier, and you've been to. You mentioned you've been to Montpellier.
I have, yes. And it's pronounced Montpellier in France. You don't pronounce
Montpellier.
that final bit. You're thinking of you're sounding like you're going to New Hampshire. Yeah, it's like a beach town for French people. And I remember my strongest thought on it. It was kind of a weird place, but it was a convenient place to stop between Barcelona and Paris. And well, is that when we? Yeah, I do think that's where we stopped. Anyway, meaning I know we spent time in Montpellier. I believe that's the route we took. And yeah, it was kind of like a nondescript, like French seaside area. A little bit touristy, but I feel like it's touristy for French people. So that's kind of interesting to see. And I remember we had such little money, my friend and I, who were visiting that, we decided not to rent a umbrella to lay out and enjoy the beach. And the umbrella person gave it to us for free and couldn't say it in English, but was indicating, "You're so pale that I want you to have this umbrella." And so donated an umbrella to us so that we wouldn't burn, which was, you don't often get stories of French people being magnanimous like that.
Well, I love the French. I've never been
To
anywhere.
Americans, I mean,
Yeah.
because we were obviously Americans.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to go because I've never been anywhere in France besides Paris. So it'll be, interesting to see. And if folks have,
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
This is going to be hugely eye-opening for you to be spending more time in France.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. So if folks have recs, shoot them over. You can do OOO podcast on the old Instagram or outofofficepod@gmail.com and send your recs. So Kieran, did you bring a last stop?
I did, of course. I found it very moving, of course, that 2025 was a banner year because we got a new pope and the first American pope. I mean, this is history making stuff, and I found it very moving. You may remember a year ago we were talking about the Jubilee year that the Catholics were celebrating. This is a rare occurrence where the pontiff opens several historic giant sculpted doors all around the city and invites Catholic pilgrims and really invites the world in to visit Rome, to visit Catholic historic spots. And it's supposed to revive the faith. It's supposed to let you move on and look to the future. And there was a whole year, and it was going to be a giant tourism boom for Rome. And indeed, it delivered exactly that. 33 million people visited, according to the Vatican, from 185 countries. So the world really heard the call of the Jubilee year. And to me, what was beautiful about this ceremony, and I just love the pageantry of Rome and the Catholic Church on these sorts of things. It was Pope Francis who opened those doors that get unsealed once every 50 years, basically, to St. Peter's, and then of course they stayed open as he passed, as he was honored, and then when Pope Leo was elected. This stayed open, and it was Pope Leo who closed those doors just this past week. Once we got past the New Year's, they closed on the Epiphany, and I found that very moving. That sort of passing of the torch, and it's all great things must come to an end, and so the closure of the doors brings the closure of the Jubilee year. And I hope, Brian, that we may experience one more in our lifetimes.
At least one more. I was glad that I got to make it to Rome during the Jubilee year and to the Vatican. And, remember I was there the weekend that Pope Francis passed away.
I remember, and the Vatican is a busy tourism spot at the best of times. Yeah. And when you have a pope dying, which brings in a flood of people, and you have the Jubilee year, I'm shocked you're not still waiting in line.
Exactly. Well, I threw my hat in the ring for the papacy, and they went a different direction. So what are you going to say? What are you going to do?
That damn black baseball cap you're always wearing on Instagram. If you don't follow Ryan on Instagram, you'll see the cap he's talking about. Now, Ryan, we're working on the next episode. I can't say it's 100% confirmed, but I've got good indications we're going to be able to land someone from the New York Times to come on and talk about the 52 places list, which has become really a yearly tradition for us. And so you can tune in for the next episode to see if we've landed that primo interview that we love. And Ryan, the other thing I want to put out there is, it's 2026. You and I are mapping out the calendar year for all the episodes that we want to put on. We have some great stuff in store with your travel and my travel, some cool interviews that we're lining up. But we also love to hear your ideas out there in the community. So you could either put them with a review wherever you listen. And, some of the reviews are getting a little stale. So we would really appreciate if you go on and give us a 5 stars. That helps people discover us, helps us keep the show going. And you can include in there your idea for episodes you'd love to hear, or you could go to that Instagram or the email again to hit us with your ideas. outofofficepod@gmail.com or @OOO podcast.
All right. Well, happy 2026, everybody. And we will see you very soon. Until then, I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kieran Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
The seat taken.
Kieran, my Catalonian is worse than my Spanish.
That is very hard to believe.